Let us pray. Almighty God, where you have called us to govern this province, we ask for your help to make decisions and laws that will be just and will promote the interest of our people. Almagtige God, ons bid dat u gedurende ons vergaderings ons die nodige wysheid sal gee en ons motiewe suiwer sal hou en dat u ons sal help om ons tekortkominge te oorkom en al ons besluite aan u op te dra. Sikelele ilizwe letu na balo bantu umisili ukulungu kipondo letu unkosi sikelele I Afrika kina abantwana bayo kukela inkekole yau yiniki ikolo I Afrika. All this we beg in your holy name. Amen. You may be seated. Order members, before we proceed, it is my honor to welcome members of the respective junior city councils, young youth leaders from the areas of Paul, Malmesbury, here in the city of Cape Town, including Nyanga, as well as young people from Tier Waterskloof. During the month of June, we not only celebrate young people, but we are also acutely aware that young people are not only the leaders of tomorrow, but also the leaders of now. I trust that you will feel welcomed, and also to Councillor Pochenpoel and the leaders that is accompanying the young people. Thank you so much for your attendance in the gallery today. Honourable members, I do not need to remind you of the standing rules. Hence, we will commence promptly, and we will now deal with the speaker's debate in terms of Rule 147 as printed on the order paper. I now recognize the Honourable Kaiser Philander.
Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Honourable Deputy Speaker, members, citizens of the Western Cape, and especially the young people in the gallery today. En dit maak veral my hart baie warm om te hoor die pers is hier. Dis my huismense, maar ook my alma mater Paulus Joubert hoor. Annually on June the 16th, We honor the fearless youngsters of 1976, those who stood unarmed against an unjust regime. They did not have wealth or influence, but a far greater conviction. Today, nearly 50 years later, our youth is faced with a different kind of struggle, one not waged in the streets, but in silence in bedrooms, not against tear gas and bullets, but poverty, addiction, exclusion, and despair. Let us not sugarcoat the truth. Our youth is in crisis. They might smile on Instagram and laugh on TikTok, but there are cries behind the filters. They scroll through curated lives while fighting mental health battles we do not see. They are burdened, tired, and too often not heard. Adjunkspeaker, angs, depressie, selfdoodgedagtes. Hierdie is nie net woorde nie, dit is die realiteit. En volgens studies ervaar 1 uit elke 7 tiener geestesgesondheidsprobleme. Maar te veel bly stil, vasgevang tussen skaamte, stigmatisering en die vrees om nie verstaan te word nie. Honorable Deputy Speaker, mental health is not just one layer. Many of our young people live under intense academic pressure, unstable homes, and the crushing weight of poverty. And when that weight becomes too much, they escape, not out of rebellion, but out of desperation. They turn to substances, to gangsterism, not because they want to destroy their lives, but because no one showed them how to build one. Ons kan nie toekyk nie. Ons kan nie wag tot dit te laat is voor ons hande uitsteek nie. But Deputy Speaker, there is hope. The Western Cape Department of Social Development is taking this crisis seriously, from expanding youth-focused substance abuse programs to skills development through MOT centers, to child and youth care centers that provide care and structure to those most at risk, working to build the scaffolding that supports healing and empowerment. But we must go further. Opportunity should not just be created, it should be accessible. Young people must not only benefit from solutions, they must shape them. Let us open platforms where young ones challenge us, where they advise us, and where they inspire us. Ons jong mense is nie 'n las nie. They are forced to partner with. As member of the Western Cape Provincial Parliament, I have heard our young people are crushed by unemployment. Our young people are robbed by drugs. Our young people are abandoned by systems meant to uplift them. Our young people are not statistics. They are names and they are faces. Adjunct Speaker, ons beleid moet nie net op papier wees nie. Dit moet leef in die strate van Ceres, Khayelitsha, in die huise van Vredendal in Mitchells Plain. It must not only promise a future, it should deliver the now. This future goes beyond the responsibility of government. It belongs to families, to churches, to teachers, and to neighbors. When we step back, others step in, and they do offer purpose. They offer poison. Let us raise a generation that is woke, not just socially, but spiritually, economically, and politically. Let them know their worth is not in likes of followers or fame. Our youth should know their worth is in their character, their voice, and their power to choose. Agbare jong speaker, die gesegde lui, die jeug is die toekoms. Die jeug is nie net 'n belofte vir môre nie. Ons jeug is 'n prioriteit vir vandag. Laat jeugdag nie net 'n herdenking wees nie, maar 'n beweging, a moment to say, we see you, we believe in you, and we will not give up on you. To our youth, you are not broken, you are burdened. A burden that does not define you, a burden that refines you. Your future is not cancelled, it is calling. Own your voice, own your life, own your future. I thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Kaiser Philander. I recognize the Honorable Stoffel.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I hope I'm audible.
You may proceed.
Good afternoon, the members of the Provincial Parliament. Good afternoon, the members of the Provincial Parliament and also the citizens of the Western Cape. Honorable Speaker, we are here for a this is something that needs to be said. We have neglected our youth in the province. 32% of youth aged 15 to 24 are classified as not in employment, education, or training, according to the Western Cape Government Youth Development Strategy. We know this is even worse in the rural areas and townships. The consequence of the neglected youth is losing them through gang violence. On the 12th of June 2018, Dan Plaatl, then Minister of Community Safety, spoke at the launch of the Department of Community Safety Life Cows program as part of the Youth Month. He said, we see too many children even dying in our streets. We see too many youngsters running around with guns, drugs, and choosing a criminal life for gangsterism. Speaker, this government has been aware of the risk of youth faces. They know of the challenges facing the youth, but they have yet to bring solutions. Speaker, we are talking about systematic solutions that address the level of school dropouts in the province for those who have completed the school journey, training that would enable them to have a skill for the current job market. The challenges facing our youth requires a holistic approach and not the current fragmented governance we have in the province. Speaker, the Youth Day come and went with significant youth campaign with not significant campaign in the Western Cape, commemorating the youth of the 1976 that led their lives for the liberation of the country and the significant role they played. Speaker, the youth can play a huge role in the province given the opportunities and resources in the community such as Hanover Park, Menenbeck, Elsie's River, Delft, Bishop Lavis, and Mitchell's Plain. Gang warfare is an everyday occurrence. Streets become war zones, school routes become ambush pads, and playgrounds turn into shooting ranges. Speaker, there is a lack of investment in our youth in the province. The DA has invested in militarized policing strategies like LEAP program, but where are the social workers? Where are the after-school centers? Where is the funding for trauma counseling for learners who witness shooting daily? Where are the job readiness programs? Where are the learnership, the mentorship schemes? Where is the will to stop treating these youth as threats and start seeing them as victims of systematic neglect? As the ANC, we have constantly raised these issues through our speeches, motions, and written and oral questions. We demand this provincial government to adopt an integrated approach, not just policing, but prevention, protection, participation, and purpose. Young people, Speaker, need to be safe and safe spaces. And also they need job opportunities in the province. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Stoffel. I recognize the Honorable Stevens.
Thank you. Honorable Deputy Speaker, honorable members of this House, and our youth in the gallery. I rise today as a proud Patriotic Alliance member to honor and reflect on Youth Day, a day that carries both a painful history and a powerful reminder of the bravery of South Africa's youth. Let us begin where it all started, pre-1994. On the 16th of June 1976, thousands of young people took to the streets of Soweto to protest the injustices of the apartheid education system. Let us never forget that the youth of the era fought for freedom, for liberation, and for a better life, not only for themselves, but for
Order,
generations
members.
to come. But Speaker, today in a democratic South Africa, 30 years into our constitutional democracy, our youth are facing a different war. Post 1994, the fight was shifted. Today's struggle is not against apartheid laws. Today's enemy is exclusion from opportunity, from access to education, from meaningful employment, from economic justice, and from funding for entrepreneurial dreams. How is it that in 2025, millions of young people are sitting at home with degrees, diplomas, and skills, but without jobs? It's sad to even voice How is it that in the Western Cape, a province with so much potential, our young people in townships and rural areas remain trapped in a cycle of poverty, gangsterism, and drugs? How is it that bursaries and education funding are so inaccessible, so politicized, and so poorly administrated that deserving learners fall through the cracks year after year? It can never be right for or acceptable, Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the Patriotic Alliance believes in real empowerment of our youth, not in slogans, not in empty campaigns once a year, but in tangible, practical, and measurable outcomes. We must, and emphasize we must, prioritize skills development aligned to market needs, not just degrees for the sake of degrees. Open the economy to youth entrepreneurship by streaming funding, removing red tape, and providing mentorship. Create public-private partnerships that guarantee internships and workplace experience for all graduates. And yes, we must clean up our municipalities and departments so that corruption does not rob the youth of the very opportunities they deserve. Speaker, today's youth are not lazy. They are resilient. They are resourceful. They are creative. They are ready to work. But the need is a government that sees them, hears them, and invests in them. Let Youth Day not be a symbolic commemoration only. Let it be a moment of reckoning, a call to action for this government to stop treating youth issues as seasonal hashtags and start doing the real work of empowering our next generation. To the youth of 1976, we salute you. To the youth of today, we are with you in this new struggle. To this house, the time for speeches has passed. The time for action is now. Rest in
Please
power.
conclude, member.
Rest in power to those who died for freedom. Rise in power to those who will build our future. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Stevens. I recognize the Honorable Minister, Minister Lund.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker, Premier, members of the House, and to the youth that's joined us today, and those that's still young at heart. I, today and throughout this month, we remember the immense bravery of the youth of 76 who stood up to an unjust system, fighting for a future of dignity, opportunity, and equity. However, the youth of today are facing different challenges, ones that also threaten their dignity. But in the Western Cape, we are continuously working together as a government to address this. As the Western Cape Department of Social Development, we honor the young people by investing in their potential, especially the vulnerable youth who face poverty, abuse, substance use, and marginalization. Our commitment is not just in words, but it is a strategic, targeted, active interventions. Just this past weekend, we held a Provincial Youth Expo in partnership with the City of Cape Town that connected hundreds of youth to job opportunities, to pathways out of their circumstances. The past weekend was a spotlight on all the services that we do provide as a provincial government, as a city, and elsewhere in the province. We do this throughout the year. And what we ask of the youth is to step up and take those opportunities. I met some amazing young people that have benefited from DSD funded programs like Jaden Seister, a young woman from Mitchell's Plain. She started out as an intern in one of DSD's funded intern programs in 2023. 2 years later, Jaden is now in her first year studying chemical engineering and work for Alliance Francaise as a communications officer. And she says it's because of the resources and support she received from Black Pearl that she got the opportunities to be where she is today. Honourable Deputy Speaker, our department fund 12 youth cafes across the province that are providing this kind of support that Jaden received, such as digital literacy and academic support. During the 24-25 financial period, just under 15,000 youth participated in training and mentoring programs offered by community-based organizations and youth cafes across the province. We also own and fund 7 secure care child and youth care centers for youth that are in conflict with the law and for those that pose behavioral challenges. We also fund 53 non-profit organizations, CYCCs, across the province for those in need of care and protection. The department also subsidizes 24 NPOs to work in communities where there are youth not in employment, education, and or training. These organizations provide skills training to young people, like Blackpool that I mentioned earlier, that walked the journey with Jaden. In the 24-25 financial year, just over 750,000 sanitary pad packs were distributed to just over 300 schools and DSD CYCCs in the province to promote the well-being, health, dignity, and self-esteem of female learners, but also to ensure that they do not miss any of the academic learning that they need to do so that they can fully invest in their future. Honorable Deputy Speaker, we cannot do this without partnerships. If you look at these CYCCs, our child and youth care workers are doing an incredible job to break the cycle of hardship and socioeconomic challenges that brought the children to these facilities in the first place. Some programs at these facilities are strengthened by volunteers, NGOs, and the private sector. Earlier this year, we signed a partnership with Africa Skills that is taking some of those youth that's in conflict with the law and serious behavioral challenges and teaching them the necessary skills to work for themselves, whether it's to become a mechanic, an electrician, or even do some plumbing. It is about building hope, and it's about helping these young boys and girls to not only dream, but to work hard to create that better life for them and their families with the opportunities that we provide. In these CYCCs, we've seen our children who were in gangs light up in a woodwork class, how they are being able to use their hands to make something creative and beautiful. We've seen our girls with behavioral challenges have gone on to become dance teachers, inspiring others that want to follow in their footsteps. Our facilities have also become a place of best practices for other provinces to follow. In April this year, our department hosted an interprovincial workshop on the cost of services for children with disruptive behavioral disorders. We took a group of officials from the national DSD and other provinces on a site visit to our facilities in the Western Cape so that they can learn from our best practices and roll it out to the rest of the country. Honorable Deputy Speaker, we are doing a lot as a department, but something that I want to finish off with, as I see my time has inexplicably run out quite quickly. To the youth, I really don't understand your fascination with social media. I really don't understand the dance moves, the TikToks. I don't understand the music that you listen to. But one thing that I can give you a commitment is that we are working incredibly hard as a provincial government to give you every possible opportunity that you deserve to fulfill your own potential. The DSD and the sister departments, we work together. Some of those provide economic opportunities, internship, and we are looking after the most vulnerable youth. But what we are asking of you is to also step up and take these opportunities. Don't just sit back and watch other people take it. You need to take ownership of your own life and let you be the youth that then also work for the youth of 2030, 2035 and beyond. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Minister Lund. I recognize the Honorable Kasim.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, I'd like to commence this debate by extending our heartfelt condolences as the EFF to the families of all those fighters who have lost their lives on the 16th of June when the bus they were traveling in collided with a truck. This tragedy, Deputy Speaker, which took the lives of 10 fighters, with the youngest being only 17 years old, occurred whilst they were on their way from the EFF June 16 rally in KZN. As the EFF, we pray for the families and will remember these fighters who lost their lives whilst in the line of duty fighting for economic emancipation. Returning to the order of the day, Deputy Speaker, almost 49 years later, since the South African youth of 1976 took to the streets and died for the cause of a better education, better redistribution of land, and socioeconomic emancipation, to date, Deputy Speaker, not much has been achieved due to the leadership vacuum in positions of power. Here in the Western Cape, African and coloured learners are still largely and systematically denied access to schools with better facilities, which are mostly situated in the suburbs. Township schools remain abandoned and not upgraded, whilst the school admission system continues to remain skewed, favouring white learners over other racial groups in this province. Deputy Speaker, the reality is that what Black youth are experiencing today is just a repeat of what our youth experienced during apartheid. Our youth, our youth today remain largely unemployed, and as a result of the current socioeconomic environment, denying our youth with access to key resources, including access to land for economic use. and they remain idle, resorting to all sorts of criminal activity, as well as the abuse of alcohol and substance abuse. Deputy Speaker, a youth deprived of opportunities systematically and in most cases become a problematic youth for the society, since they have ample time in their hands which they are denied by the system to use it productively and for positive good, or use rather. Deputy Speaker, as a youth, or Deputy Speaker, rather, as our youth are held hostage in drug and gang infested communities across the province, especially on the Cape Flats, among other communities, with little or no intervention, we call on our youth of today to rise and to take to the streets to hold those responsible for our safety to account, as they fail to eradicate drug and gang activity, which to date has taken the lives of many youth. Deputy Speaker, provincial and municipal land must also be made available to those who want to farm or use the land productively for economic gain so that they can create employment opportunities in turn. But in conclusion, Deputy Speaker, as we call for better opportunities for the youth, let's also call on our youth to be on the forefront of fighting crime, unemployment, drugs, and gangsterism, among other issues affecting our communities, especially in our colored and African communities, and to continue the legacy of those who came before us and who risked their lives to fight for a system that does not benefit the Black child. Let's rise as youth and continue the fight for better opportunities. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Kasim. I recognize the Honorable Johnson.
Honorable Speaker, Youth Day is a reminder of the price that was paid for freedom. In 1976, young people stood up against the system designed to keep them silent. They marched, they resisted, and many lost their lives, all for the right to learn and the right to be heard. Today, almost 50 years later, the youth of South Africa face a different kind of struggle. The fight is not against banned books or racist policies, but it's against an economy that is shutting them out. It's a fight for jobs, it's a fight for dignity, and it's a fight for the future. The numbers from the latest quarterly labor force survey make this painfully clear. Among young South Africans aged 15 to 24, the official unemployment rate now stands at 62%. Among those aged 25 to 34, it's over 40%. More than 4 in 10 young people between the ages of 15 and 34 are not employed in education or in training. The picture is even worse for young women. Close to half of all young women in this age groups are completely locked out of the economy. Honorable Speaker, many of our young people have never had a job at all. Nearly 60% of unemployed youth have no previous work experience. And without previous work experience, you can't be hired. And without getting hired, you can't gain the experience needed. It is a vicious cycle that fuels long-term unemployment and work discouragement. Honorable Speaker, in this climate, how can we blame young people for being discouraged from seeking work? The job market is grim. Young applicants send out dozens of CVs and hear nothing back. They are ghosted by employers, strung along for months, or told that they lack experience. Across South Africa, discouragement is rising. Over the last year, 425,000 South Africans became discouraged work seekers, people who have simply given up on the hope of finding a job. This is not laziness, it is despair, and it should be ringing alarm bells. When the next generation gives up hope, the future of our country is in danger. Speaker, we cannot talk about youth empowerment without talking about economic access, and we cannot solve youth unemployment by doing more of the very same thing. While other provinces have seen discouragement deepen, the Western Cape is moving in the opposite direction. Over the past quarter alone, the number of people who are economically active in our province dropped by 42,000. That means more people are actively entering the labor force, looking for work and finding jobs. In the first quarter of this year, the country lost over 290,000 jobs, but here in the Western Cape, we've created 49,000 new jobs, the largest gain of any province in the country. Our official unemployment rate is just 19.6%, well below the national average of 32.9%. Our expanded unemployment rate is also the lowest in the country, and our labor force participation is the highest. This is not a coincidence. It is a result of a government that has a plan and that sticks to the very plan. Our growth for job strategy is a serious evidence-based roadmap. It targets high growth sectors where young people are most likely to find opportunities, sectors like manufacturing, agriculture, finance, and technology. Look at the numbers. Honourable Speaker, 31 billion is being spent on critical infrastructure over the MTEF. 45 million is being spent to help cut red tape so that it's easier to do business, and 382 million to add 17 new energy projects to the province so that we can keep the lights on. The facts simply don't lie. We are the only province that is serious about tackling this problem. Honourable Speaker, here in the Western Cape, we are doing the work. We are building an economy that includes young people, not just with slogans or broken promises like the rest, but with real interventions and measurable results. Over the past year, I keep hearing some of the same talking points from the opposition, that the DA only cares about certain leafy suburbs and Cape Town, but this is simply not true. Per capita spending in rural areas like the Karoo is 34% higher than the provincial average. Jobs are being created in areas like Atlantis and Khayelitsha because we enable a climate for entrepreneurship and employment. Metrics like the province's Gini coefficient and Human Development Index are the best in the country, here in the Western Cape. We are bucking the trend. We are focusing on one thing that should take top priority in this country. That is getting people into jobs. Agbare Speaker, ander provinsies moet kennis neem. Die Weskaap presteer nie net beter nie. Ons bewys dat 'n ander benadering moontlik is en dat dit werk. Ons is 'n werkende model van wat nodig is om die gety te keer en ons nooi die res van Suid-Afrika uit om mooi te kyk wat ons hier doen in hierdie provinsie. Die Weskaap kan en behoort gebruik te word as 'n model om die jeugwerkloosheidskrisis aan te pak, want ons is die enigste provinsie wat hierdie uitdaging ernstig opneem. Agbare Speaker, ter herdenking van Jeugdag, kom ons verbind ons weer daartoe om daardie toekoms saam te bou. 'n Toekoms waar elke jong Suid-Afrikaner, ongeag hul geslag, agtergrond of gemeenskap, 'n regverdige kans het. Baie dankie.
Thank you, Honourable Johnson. I recognize the Honourable Marie.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, for as long as the education system denies children timeous placement in a classroom that is not overcrowded, we must accept that our government has failed the youth once again. This was the reality in 1976. There were overcrowded classrooms, poor quality education, and every year in the Western Cape, we have unplaced learners in excess of 10,000 at a time before the start of the new year. What is the difference today? And for as long as we allow children to drop out of the education system by the age of 15 and leave without a basic standard of vocational training in skills development, we will not succeed in improving the quality of their lives, Speaker. We must improve the employability of our youth, especially for the fourth and fifth industrial revolution. The Freedom Front Plus supports mother tongue education, which should never be denied to any child in South Africa. The youth of 1976 did not hate Afrikaans. They hated the system that forced them to learn in Afrikaans as a medium of instruction. They were never consulted. This led to the hatred for Afrikaans as they called it the oppressor's language. But that is how it was branded. This was a great injustice to the youth of 1976 and a great injustice to Afrikaans. The lack of public trust in the South African police renders the youth vulnerable to joining gangs, Speaker. This has left many young people living in dangerous neighborhoods, unwilling to report crime, unwilling to report their vulnerable predicament. And at the end of it all, they end up in prison. We call that the youth's voices be heard in this parliament, Speaker, that they will come to this house and speak for themselves and let us hear them speak and raise their concerns. That is what I suggest. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Marais. Order, members. I am wanting to engage the table staff. I note that the following speaker is not online. I see honorable members. I recognize the Honorable Brinkhuis.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Honorable Deputy Speaker, the Al Jamaa Party is committed to the fight for dignity, justice, and meaningful economic inclusion of our youth. The youth, particularly those from the previously oppressed and exploited masses during apartheid, South Africa continue to carry a heavy historical weight. Apartheid didn't just take our land, it broke our economies. Townships were never meant to thrive. They were designed to restrict what we see today: generational poverty, youth unemployment, lack of access to land and capital is the direct result of that engineered exclusion. These are not just inherited problems, they are political realities we must dismantle. And while we fight for inclusion, we are also fighting for survival. In the Western Cape, there are more drug dens than schools. Gangsterism and gender-based violence are destroying our youth. Women and children are most vulnerable, have nowhere safe to turn. Our places of safety are underfunded and overcrowded. In this DA-run province, there are thousands of youth living on farm facing evictions. There are youth living in dwellings where no emergency vehicle can access them. They are youth who once finished with high school are now facing the trauma of being barred from living with his or her parents on the farm. How can we talk about youth economic participation when our children are being recruited by gangs? When trauma, addiction, and fear become the norm, sadly, there is an increase in children as young as 12
Please conclude, member.
being recruited into gangs. They are exploited as drug couriers and decoys. I thank you, Speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Brinkhuis. I recognize the Honorable Wessels.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, members, and the young people of this province. Youth Day is a reminder of the courage shown by this 1976 generation, those who stood up against the injustice with a determination and a vision for a better future. Their defiance helped shape our democracy, and a part of their legacy is our privilege to rise in this House and commemorate Youth Day. Honoring that legacy requires more than just a commemoration. It demands action, the kind that creates real, measurable opportunities. Today's youth face urgent challenges: securing work, accessing education, and building a life that they can be proud of. These are not just distant issues, but a daily reality. And in the Western Cape, under the DA-led government, we are tackling this head-on. Adjunct Speaker, laat my toe om die storie te deel van Demi Goeieman, 'n jong dame van Mosselbaai wie persoonlike struikelblokke oorkom het. Nadat sy uit 'n onbevredigende werk bedank het, het sy haar kinderliefde vir meetkunde herontdek en vir houtwerk ingeskryf by Africa Skills, dankzij die ondersteuning van die Wes-Kaap regering. Sonder enige vorige ondervinding het sy 'n klasleier geword en later 'n assistent bestuurder. Houtwerk het haar selfvertroue herstel en 'n toekoms gegee. Haar storie is nie 'n uitsondering nie. Dit is die motivering van wat moontlik is wanneer daar in jong mense belê word. Deputy Speaker, infrastructure is not just roads and buildings. It is the ladder for opportunity, a tool to unlock potential, and a foundation for careers. This belief is more than a theory, but is backed by budgets, plans, and results. Deputy Speaker, Member Stoffel asked, where? The DA run Western Cape says, here. Here is where this year 40 bursaries have been awarded through the Masaki Sizwe program for studies in engineering and built environment. Here is where another 40 graduates are placed in professional development program, gaining work experience and mentorship to become registered professionals. It is here where 500 young people will be trained in construction and artisan skills in the coming year, earning a wage and gaining lifelong skills through the EPWP program. It is here where we also help youth-run businesses. Through the Contractor Development Program, we provide mentorship and support to get young entrepreneurs tender ready. Deputy Speaker, this year, 4 more initiatives target youth, women, and people with disabilities to grow inclusive participation in construction. Backing all of this, over 55 million rand allocated this year to empowerment and skills development. This is not a youth month promise, but a budgeted reality. Die ekonomiese impak is duidelik. In die afgelope paar jaar het meer as 189 miljoen rand infrastruktuurprojekte na klein sake gevloei. Dit sluit die besighede met jong mense as eienaars van meer as 2000 projekte in. Dit is moontlik gemaak deur 13 diensverskaffer sessies, maandelikse EPWP sessies en ook aanlyn aankoopplatform. Alles wat verseker dat jong mense toegang het tot werksgeleenthede. Deputy Speaker, this is not a charity. This is justice. Young people don't want handouts. They want a fair chance. And in the Western Cape, we are building that chance into every project that we will deliver. Aan elke jong mens in die Weskaap, jou stem maak saak. Jou vaardighede maak saak. En jou toekoms is die moeite werd om in te belê. Let this youth month not be a moment of remembrance alone, but a moment of momentum, a signal that your province believes in you and that is walking the path of opportunity for you. Let's build that future together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Wessels. I recognize the Honorable Christians.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, the Greek philosopher Aristotle said the following: the young people of today think of nothing but themselves. They have no reference for their parents or old age. They are impatient of all restraint. They talk as if they know everything. And what passes for wisdom with us is foolishness with them. That he wrote more than 1,700 years ago. But Speaker, the Apostle Paul wrote to the young Timothy, and he said to him, let no one despise you for your youth, but set the believers an example in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity. Two opposing examples, one of personal experience and the other one guides the youth how to live. Deputy Speaker, we also think of the language the youth is using. And I want to say that Thomas Edison, the inventor of the light bulb, he used a different kind of language. We know that he failed more than 1,000 times to invent the light bulb. But he didn't use the words that I'm defeated, I'm a failure. He said, I've found 1,000 ways that it won't work. And he continued. I want to encourage our youth. That is the type of language we must use. We must use the language that Apostle Paul is encouraging Timothy, says, do not let people despise your youth. Check your conduct, check your speech, but everything you do, do it in love, do it in faith, and do it in purity. Speaker, Deputy Speaker, I think that is the message for the youth. Be optimistic for the future because your future is in your hands. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Christians. I recognize the Honorable Lekker.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, on Monday, we celebrated the Youth Day as a country. And while we celebrated the contribution the youth has played in the country, as the African National Congress, we want to ensure that the youth has equal opportunity in the province. From our perspective, Black and colored young people have been systematically excluded from the formal economy of this province. It is a painful truth that in a province that boasts about economic growth, tourism success, and global investment, the youth who make up the majority, the Black and the colored youth, remain on the outside looking in. We raised this during the budget period. The provincial budget does not reflect a commitment to youth inclusion. Grants for youth entrepreneurship are underfunded. Skills hubs are poorly resourced, and partnerships with the private sector favor boardrooms in the CBD while ignoring the potential that lies in township economies. As the African National Congress, we demand that this government to build economic inclusion where it matters, and that it is in the townships, in rural villages, in working class communities. We want to see funding for youth-owned businesses. Honorable Member Stoffels highlights the NEET in the province. This brings skills center closer to the people. Deputy Speaker, we have been highlighting the systematic exclusion of Black and colored young people in the formal economy. Earlier this year, President Cyril Ramaphosa emphasized the importance for the government to prioritize the youth, women, and people living with disabilities in awarding contracts and in doing business. When you look at this province, that call fell on deaf ears. The DA is part of the GNU and the governing party in this province. They have a duty to implement policies such as the medium-term development plan that encourage economic inclusion as a manner to boost the economy and ensure that each and every South African has access to our economy. In smaller municipalities such as Lensburg, Beaufort West, Matsikama, Kanaland, and Swellendam, the conditions tell a different story. In these areas, youth unemployment is not just a statistic. It is a harsh reality made worse by isolation and underdevelopment, exclusion from the land, and economic opportunities. Many young people in rural areas want to work the land. They want to be part of Western Cape's agricultural economy. They want to start growing food, to feed their communities, to create jobs. But what stands in their way? Land, access, support, opportunities, and unfortunately, this government has failed them on all four. Speaker, our young people, given the opportunity, are able. We need to ensure that there is equal opportunity in education, training, funding, and in business. If the DA government were serious about economic inclusion, it would release the land, equip youth with tools, invest in rural and township economy, and make farming accessible to the young and landless. What we are currently seeing, Deputy Speaker, is far from this. We are seeing a government prioritize policing rather than looking at the root cause of crime and violence in the area. I repeat, this government prioritizes policing rather than looking at the root causes of crime and violence in the province. It is easy to implement reactionary programs in an attempt to root out crime. The real work is in investment. Investment in the structural causes of crime, invest in youth initiatives that take the youth off the streets, and initiatives that are sustainable. We are not interested in tick box programs or exercises. These initiatives must be sustainable and be able to replicate across the province and not just in Cape Town. Deputy Speaker, the Western Cape has a youth development strategy adopted in 2013. If we are being honest, that strategy is outdated. The Western Cape has to engage the youth to develop a new development strategy that is centered on youth inclusion in the economy. When we talk about challenges facing the youth, we have to speak beyond unemployment. And that is why the African National Congress, we want to see a generation of young people involved in owning big stakes in our economy. This is something we will continue to raise in this House until we see a genuine effort from this government to open the economy for our youth and not close down doors and keep quiet while sitting on the wrong side of the community, whilst our people, our children are killed daily in Hanover Park, Menenberg, Bishop Levis, Nyanga, Lower Cross Road, Philippi East, Witzenberg, KwaNonkubela, KwaMandlakhe, including in Ashton. And therefore, Deputy Speaker, as the African National Congress was saying, open the doors for young people to be equipped with vocational skills so that they are able to better equip themselves and the economy with the people of the Western Cape at large. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Lekker. I recognize the Honorable Minister, Minister Bartman.
Thank you, Honorable.
Order members, to conclude the debate, potentially one of the youngest MECs in the entire country. So let's allow the minister to conclude the debate. You may proceed, Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker, to the youth in the gallery today, to the only other youth.
Honorable Minister, please take your seat.
And to those who are younger.
Honorable Minister, please take your seat. Honorable Chief Whip.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, I'd like the Honorable Van Vogel through you to withdraw the comment that you just made towards Minister Bartman, referring to Minister Bartman as an old cow.
Honorable members, we have over 80. We have over 80 young people from across our province that could potentially fill these seats in the future. How we behave now could either encourage or discourage the young people of ever entering politics. I have not personally heard the comment that the Chief Whip has referred to. I will consult Hansard and if necessary, revert back to the House. A member Van Vogel, before I consult Hansard, let me ask you if you echoed the words that the Chief Whip indicated earlier.
It was a discussion between me and the member on the other side, not the minister.
It would still be unparliamentary and I would ask you to withdraw.
Withdraw because I call him an old cow.
Member Van Vogel, if you're able to stand. Honorable members, I'm on the floor. Are you able to withdraw unreservedly and not make additional comments?
Withdraw.
Thank you.
Call him an old cow.
Member Van Vogel, that's not how we withdraw. That's all I need from you. The comment has been withdrawn, honorable members. The young people is eagerly anticipating to hear what the minister has to say. Minister, please proceed.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I'm honored to participate in today's debate as one of the only two youth elected to this Western Cape Provincial Parliament, as the youngest minister ever appointed in the Western Cape government history, in a house chaired by the youngest ever elected Speaker of the Western Cape Provincial Parliament, the Speaker, Dalen Mitchell. In 1976 generation not only rejected the oppression and atrocities meted out by the apartheid regime, they also demanded freedom, justice, and dignity. Today, it is our responsibility to honor and carry their legacy forward and to build a South Africa where the lives of our youth are dignified and abundant with opportunities. Unemployment remains the single biggest challenge facing South African youth today. Joblessness threatens their futures, robs them of their dignity, and traps them in a vicious cycle of poverty. And it is evidence from inputs today, even, that we all agree that youth unemployment is a challenge we must confront. Deputy Speaker, the Western Cape government has been proactive in addressing this challenge. Our goal is to create a 1 trillion rand economy by 2035, growing at 4 to 6% annually and creating 600,000 jobs. Yes, these are ambitious goals, but if we are not prepared to be bold now, then we risk failing not only the youth of today, but also the youth of 1976, who showed us that any mountain can be conquered when you have the courage to try. Today, the Western Cape has the lowest unemployment rate in the country. According to the most recent quarterly labor force survey, the provincial unemployment rate stands at 19.6% in quarter one of 2025. And at 33.26%, the Western Cape also has the lowest NEET rate in the country. For comparison, the national rate is 45.64%. More than that, the Western Cape also boasts the highest labor market absorption rate in South Africa. This means that in the province, if you're looking for a job, you're far more likely to find one. But we recognize that this may not be the lived experience for every young person in the province. We acknowledge that economic empowerment and access to opportunities are still concepts that are not a reality for many of our young people. And this is why the Western Cape government will be spending 43.8 billion rand over the next 3 financial years on its growth for jobs strategy to help businesses grow and create jobs and equip you, the youth of our Western Cape, to get those jobs. We will spend almost 4 billion rand on safety, and 80% of our total budget will go to education, health, social development, and housing. Our investment in young people begins long before you can even walk. The Department of Health and Wellness's first 1,000 Days initiative promotes the health, nutrition, and development of children from conception to the age of 2. We want you to have a strong foundation and a long life. The Western Cape Education Department, via the National School Nutrition Program, provides more than 537,000 learners at 1,055 schools nutritious meals every day, ensuring that they have nourishment needed to support their growing bodies and minds. Additionally, approximately 69,000 learners benefit from scholar transport daily, improving access to education across the province. And over the past 5 years, the Western Cape has seen a notable improvement in learner retention for both primary and high school, indicating a decline in dropout rates and an increasing number of learners completing their education. Deputy Speaker, the Western Cape government is not only creating a province where job creation can thrive, we are also proactively creating direct pathways into the economy for young people with programs such as the Premier's Advancement for Youth program, which provides matriculants with valuable first work experience within the Western Cape government, helping to build skills and confidence early in their careers. Through the Work and Skills Program and the Artisan Development Program, the Department of Economic Development and Tourism equips young people with practical on-the-job training in high-demand sectors. The Department of Mobility is rolling out travel vouchers to help you get to your job interview so that you can get that job. To address critical skills shortages in fields like engineering and the built environment, infrastructure is investing in the next generation of our technical professionals through the Masa Sibwe bursary program. Agriculture will be investing more money into our agricultural training and education in the province. The Year Beyond program reaches over 3,000 young people each year, with specific focus on those who are not in education, employment, or training, offer them structured service, training, and pathways to further study and work. Environmental Affairs and Development Planning will implement their township strategy to help support rural economies. And through our youth cafes, the Department of Social Development will provide holistic support, including digital literacy, personal development, and vital employment skills. And the Department of Arts and Culture will have 315 mod program centers by the end of this financial year, up from 180. We will also support our Minister Solly Malatsi in the GNU National Cabinet in his fight to make sure that South African TikTok creators get paid for the content they create. Dis ons se intellectual property. You deserve to be paid for the work you created. Is jou geld. We will fight for that. Honorable Deputy Speaker, this is all possible because we take our responsibility seriously and because we believe that every young person in this province deserves an opportunity. As the Western Cape government, we will continue to step up, to invest in, and to support young people of this province. Let us take hands today and commit that we will help create an environment and opportunities as a government, but you as the youth, we must step up and grab these opportunities so that perhaps, just perhaps, the next youngest in history might be amongst the gallery with us here today. Deputy Speaker, I thank you.
Honorable members, that concludes the Speaker's debate. Before we conclude the business, let me again express my thanks to Councillor Poggenpoel and to all the young people that even earlier, together with the Chief Whip, engaged our public outreach and education program. Members, I can confirm that even the questions that were posed by the young people is a clear indication that many of them might be coming for the seats that we are currently occupying. So I wish you all of the best. And once again, thank you. Honorable members, that concludes the business of the day. The Secretary will now end the meeting and adjourn all members from the platform.